It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley. As we go into a Monday, our continuing coverage of Joe Biden's political career memorial service continues. Tributes from around the world are pouring in. Gary, how are you?
Doing good.
What a day on Sunday.
I know.
It's like, I'm winding down. I got up really early, like 4:30, both Saturday and Sunday morning. I had things to do. Actually, I didn't. I just couldn't sleep. I like to pretend I'm busy. And so I got up, and one of the things I rarely do is make coffee on Sunday morning because I'm going to go back to sleep later in the day. But I made a little coffee, and I'm glad I did. Because later, it turned out that Mark Halperin was correct. And everyone knows, with our history of Mark Halperin, how much we trust and respect Mark Halperin. That whole Ted Cruz interview, we always go back to that. But it's
Did you eat Cuban food?
Yes.
Do you listen to Cuban
kind of music you listen to? Can you say that en Espanol? What are you doing? What are you doing? My gosh. Wouldn't the liberals call that gentrification of a senator? Anyway, so I don't know what they call it. Here's the problem, is that Mark Halperin was right. You walk into this whole thing, and it's exactly what the problem for the Democrats, by the way, for us. It's actually true. I bought a bunch of popcorn on Sunday after this all fell out. It wasn't for that reason, but it actually is true. And so I'm going to need it because as the rest of us sit back and watch, this chaos is going to ensue. I mean, everyone first, Biden comes out and gives his okie dokie 2 thumbs up to Kamala. The Clintons come out. Now, this is if you trust the Clintons. They come out. They endorse Kamala. Obama comes out, and he endorses Oh, wait. No, he didn't. Ooh, he stopped short, as they say in Seinfeld world. And now this is exactly when Obama didn't, because keep in mind, I said this, I think it was Thursday or Friday. Obama was the last major player in the Democratic Party to endorse Biden in 2020. He came out late. I think it was November 1st. It was spring, I think, late spring of 2020. And so now, I'm sure the party will do the right thing and find the best candidate, blah, blah, blah. This generic statement from Obama. And that's where the chaos, for me, it's like, okay, here we go. This is not going to be, it's exactly what we said. This isn't going to be the smooth run. Now, you would hope you come out and I forget who it was, Wall Street Journal, maybe, that made the case that all these other players that everybody's talking about, if you get them in line, Whitmer, Newsom, and if they all come out and endorse Kamala, then there won't be so much chaos at the DNC next month. But Obama didn't, and I thought, oh, here's the first domino.
Well, it does show you that what we've always thought here on Red Eye, the Clintons don't like the Obamas don't like the Bidens.
Right.
And so you have if this can, because I was expecting by the end of the day that that you'd get a different statement from Obama, and you did not. And so that was like, okay, what's going on? I will tell you, though, the best thing about yesterday, I learned a new word. Defenestration.
I saw that word. I thought I was reading it wrong.
Defenestration.
Yeah, defenestration.
Defenestration.
Yeah.
Jonathan Turley. Then the key to succession by
Yes.
defenestration. I had to look it up.
No, that's where I read it.
I did not know what the word meant. I went, oh, okay, what does that mean? And I'm so glad he used the word, because when I went to the definition, I must have laughed for the next hour. Defenestration is pushing someone who trusts you out the window.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's basically how it went down. And the thing is all of the who was it? Oh, it was Fetterman. That said that I'm not on board. I'm paraphrasing here. I'm not on board.
Oh, I didn't see the Fetterman comment.
Oh yeah, he was talking about the all the compliments coming from people who have their fingerprints on the knife in Joe Biden's back. Oh, and he's right. It's one of the first things that happened. All these people. He's patriotic. You're the one that pushed him out, and he was defiant until the last minute.
Well, and you see the NBC report saying he's not pulling out because he feels he has any type of cognitive problems at all, that he's furious.
Right.
The only reason he's being pushed out, and he believes that the reason that his poll numbers are so bad is because he's been betrayed by the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
That the NBC report but his brother Frank, oh no, he's sick, and we're just going to appreciate the time that we have left. And it was like, of the presidency?
Right.
Are you talking about his life? Is there
Right.
something that we don't know? I mean, everything here is just still a complete cluster. But understand, Joe Biden is out because the elite of the Democratic Party lied and got caught.
Yep.
Understand what this is all about. They lied about Biden for years, because here's the question. Why did they? Nobody's asked this question. I haven't seen this question asked by any liberal host to anybody in the Democratic Party. Well, why specifically does he need to be out? Well, because of his performance in the debate, which indicates what?
Right. It's not because otherwise it's just one performance.
Right.
A bad debate is a bad debate. What are you saying? What did you think? Why do you think he performed badly at that debate? And they won't go that far. By the way, including the person who I think, according to Obama, has about a 20% chance of winning the nomination, Kamala Harris. She was part of it. She's part of it.
Oh yeah, she's part of the lie. Of course, she's part. The day before, she was talking about how energetic and everything that Biden is. Everyone lied. Mm-hmm. The media lied. Democrats lied.
Yeah.
Constantly. The public knew about it for a significant period of time.
Right.
They knew about it.
Well, it's, again, the gaslighting that went on, wanting you to believe you didn't see what you saw. Your eyes were lying to you. You're too stupid. We know you're taking care of elderly parents, millions of you. We know that you see it on a daily basis. We know you look for the signs. We know that you talk to doctors endlessly and still do, probably on a regular basis, millions of you.
The cheap fake. Remember the arrogance that you got from the White House.
Yeah, because the fundraiser night, that was the video she was saying was a cheap fake, right? The cheap fakes coming out because they were trying to sound like deep fake, but what they were saying was, well, it was edited to only show a few seconds or something like that, and so that's a cheap fake, not a deep fake.
Biden is out. Not because of his cognitive abilities or his lack of cognitive abilities. Biden is out because the entire elite, and we'll say this over and over again, the entire elite of the Democratic Party, which is the media, which is the administration themselves, and every single Democrat who supported Biden over the last couple of years, Biden is out not because of his lack of cognitive abilities, but because the entire Democratic machine was pathologically lying to the American public for the last couple of years, and they got caught.
Yeah.
The debate is where they got caught, because otherwise, why does the debate performance was unacceptable, he has to leave. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Nobody's ever said that before. There's been plenty of poor debates. You did see some people defending Biden on that one, though, remember? Well, everybody has a bad day. He just had a bad day. No, the Democrats, the media, they got caught lying. That's it. That's the only reason Biden is out. Democrats got caught lying. It was so obvious after the debate. The American public already knew it. We saw the polling.
Yeah.
Democrats already knew it. We saw the polling.
Right. Yeah, it's, and this whole thing about the age, they're still on that thing, too. Yeah, well, a guy who's only a few years younger than him, his opponent, weeks after the debate, literally bounced up moments from an assassination attempt, put his fist in the air and yelled, "Fight."
Well, they're going to use that now.
Mm-hmm.
If it's Harris,
yeah.
No, they're going to use the age thing,
which of course they were going to go to. Yeah.
Right, they will use the age thing. Now we'll get into more minutia of it, but the Republicans, at least the PACs, were ready for it. The PACs had a number of ads out there going after Kamala Harris, and it's going to be interesting. I don't know where the race is. I don't go by any poll. I don't go by any hypothetical poll. Hypothetical polls of a candidate not being endorsed until she says until they officially make her the nominee. The polls, you're not going to have any idea, which means probably we're not going to have any idea where the polls stand till late August or early September. We really won't, because the hypotheticals.
Right.
Well, what if this person decided? Nope, you only go by the people that are actually that. Those are the more accurate ones. I don't think we have any idea. I will say this: the public views her as extremely weak, but as before even Biden resigned, understand. We've always told the Republicans, run as if you're 20 points behind.
Yep.
Because you have no idea.
You have no idea how the tone is going to change or what the reception is going to be. This is something, actually, I mentioned a couple of times in the whole thing. They were, because everybody was talking about, remember when the polls were showing, well, Kamala does worse than he does, and everybody else does worse than he does. And things change. And I said, well, many in the Democratic Party are likely looking at that situation if they're still wanting him out and saying, we can change the polls. The polls with liberals can be changed. And now you're going to have, a number of people on board. I guess AOC is going to back Kamala Harris. Did we hear from AOC yesterday?
Oh, yeah, she's back. She's back in Harris. From what I know,
I thought she was. Cause
I read a headline that says the squad does too.
Yeah.
But understand, as we talked about last week, AOC not being endorsed by the Democratic Socialist.
Yeah.
She's now being viewed as part of the elite of the Democratic Party.
She's an oppressor.
That she wants her power. She is now an oppressor of Democratic Socialists.
Yes. And so she's got that to contend with. Right. And, you look at that as it now comes together and starts to shape up. Here's what it spells. It will be chaotic. If they don't fix this and get all endorsements on board for Kamala Harris, it's going to be all over the place. And I think Obama not coming around, again, he could come around. Who knows? Maybe in a few days, Obama comes around and says, yes, I endorse Kamala Harris, and then Newsom, and then Whitmer, and then all of them get in line. And they don't want to see this entire soup show of a convention. Then there won't be as much chaos. It's still going to be, man, I'd love to be a fly on the wall talking to delegates right now for the Democrats. I'd love to.
Well, you had, 3 states come out and already pledge their delegates to her.
Yeah, right.
Three or 4 states I saw it was.
Right.
What stunk yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was just like you. I get up real early on Sunday, and I worked out like crazy. So when this came about, I was ready to go to sleep. I ended up going to sleep about 4, didn't wake up till 10. I feel like I've missed a week of news.
Yeah.
Like I'm still trying to catch up because everything was moving so quickly. But I did see the headline. I scanned a ton of different headlines. I wasn't able to read all the stories. I will get to everything. But the one that said that I think it was 3 or 4 states delegates already are saying we will support, we'll support Harris on this. But understand that she is a weak candidate. But understand also, and somebody brought this up over the weekend, and this is before they said, look, if they go to a different candidate, if Biden's out, understand that people vote for personalities, and Trump is still underwater, double digits in favorability ratings. So is Kamala Harris.
Well, I saw that come out that she's under further. Right now, she's under further.
Right.
But does it change after this weekend is the question. And now he's at the highest point he's been. What is it, -12 for him? And that's the highest point he's been. That's the best he's been since the beginning.
Well, the thing is, as we've seen over the last couple of months, things can change quickly. Again, if I was a Democrat, I wouldn't have a lot of confidence in Kamala Harris. Plus, it's already set. People sort of have their set feelings that she was a part of the Biden administration. But we'll get into, well, let's put it this way. One of the key things I have is she was in charge of illegal. She was in charge of the border.
Yeah, right.
And that's a great thing to have right now, since that's one of the top 2 topics out there. We may not stop talking for 5 hours.
Yeah,
or 50 hours.
Yeah, I think we're
100 hours.
It's gonna be a long year.
Yeah.
I said, well, the show's done. I texted you, and you said, yeah, for the whole year.
The year's done. 866-90-RED-EYE.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. On a hot summer day, the last thing you want to feel is a blast of warm air when you turn on your air conditioning. A malfunctioning AC system will leave you uncomfortably shifting in your seat. Not to mention, it can affect the safety and performance of your entire vehicle and your productivity. When issues with your AC system begin to occur internally, your truck will give you some warning signs. Those include a noisy compressor and a lack of water dripping from the cab drain tube while your AC is running. If you experience either of these warning signs, you should have your AC system inspected by a professional technician immediately. Listen to your truck and invest the time now to avoid spending more time in the shop later on.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Here's Scott Jennings yesterday on CNN after the president dropped out of the race.
Is it interesting to you that we haven't seen a picture of Joe Biden today? We don't have a picture of him signing the letter. I mean, this is a huge decision. Also, the letter doesn't say why exactly he's stepping down. Why is he stepping down? He's the current. We've been talking about this for weeks. He's the current president. He's now apparently unable to continue in his race. We don't know why exactly he is stepping down. I think Republicans who are raising concerns about his fitness to lead today have good questions today, and now they're unanswered by this letter and the mystery surrounding him today.
As we have said, we know while he's resigning because the Democrats got caught lying about him.
Yeah,
and the media, which I consider the Democrats. Now, what should the Trump campaign and Republicans do? We'll get into that following the bottom of the hour, because except for I think the Republicans demanding that he resign now, which they should do, because when you say resign now, you're saying, we believe his cognitive abilities, the American public believes his cognitive abilities have eroded, and if he doesn't have the ability to run for office, he needs to resign. And by the way, Kamala Harris was all behind this lie, and that's what they should say.
Yep.
The talking points of Republicans should be, he is leaving the race because the Democrats got caught lying, including Kamala Harris.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Let me just play this audio cut here. This is from Eric from John King yesterday on CNN, and it's like we keep forgetting the anti-Semitism in the Democratic Party, because one of the things that was brought up was, okay, if Harris is the nominee, maybe she'll choose Josh Shapiro, who's popular in Pennsylvania, as her running mate. Here's what John King had to say.
Pennsylvania's Governor Josh Shapiro is being discussed as one of Harris's potential running mates. He also endorsed her tonight. In your view, what are the pros and cons for putting him on the ticket?
Well, he's certainly under consideration. I know that from key Harris allies. He's a first-term governor. He's Jewish. There could be some risks in putting him on the ticket, but certainly some of our voters...
Right.
I mean, let's keep in mind, he is Jewish. I mean,
It's like, whoa.
Wow. They didn't... Wow. I mean, that's still, to me, that's still mind-blowing.
All right, what Republicans, and we had gone over this when we said months ago, if Biden pulls out. We've already gone over this, but it's important to go over it again. We said once Biden pulls out, everything is different. The Biden family doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
I'm not saying that investigations from Republicans won't continue.
Now, Hunter is going to have to rely on his income from selling paintings.
But
that's different.
but it doesn't matter. You don't focus. Joe Biden's done.
Right.
As of criticizing him, done. It's over.
One way or the other, he's not going to be president after January of next year.
You don't spend any time on it. You don't spend any time on his family. Anything that can relate Kamala Harris to the bad things that Joe Biden has done, absolutely, because she's part of the administration.
Right.
So you hit her, for example, and they already did yesterday. Who was in charge of the border?
Right.
Who was put in charge of the border? It was Kamala Harris.
Yep.
You go through all the things that she had says, the crazy things. You don't insult her personally. We went after Trump last week. Was it last week or the week before, where we said don't attack Biden personally. Don't do that. I saw what's her name from ABC, Martha Raddatz on with Mike Johnson. That's all she's focused on. Trump talks about her laugh. Trump talks about her laugh. Trump talks about her laugh. And I'm like, they understand that the Democrats are going to sit there, and any criticism you have of her is because she's a woman and she's black. That's what they're going to say.
Yeah. If you do that officially, your surrogates are going to be doing plenty of that. I mean, not your official surrogates, but your rank and file.
And that is my point. For example, when I put on Twitter yesterday, release the cackling. Because it is something that people will notice. Your surrogates on social media will take care of that for you. You don't need to do that. Everything that you do, you stick to the issues of why people want you in office. And that's the border, and that's inflation, and that's a strong United States presence worldwide. And that's what you do.
Right.
And that's what you stick to day in and day out. Now, you can talk about the insane things. Don't get personal.
Right.
Because the Democrats are desperate right now, and they can't defend where she stands on any issues at all.
No.
Any of them.
No. This is not going to be easy for them, but this is also not going to be a walk for the Republicans. And that's something that has to be, because if this is shaping up and the support starts coming about for Kamala Harris, and they get to that point, it starts looking more and more like that, then it's not for the Democratic Party. It's not going to be about Kamala Harris. It's going to be, again, about Trump. So everything's just going to, it wasn't about Joe Biden in 2020. And everybody could see that. It's certainly not about Joe Biden anymore in 2024. It's not going to be about Kamala Harris. It's going to be about, okay, we've got a unified party again. Now let's direct them in opposition of Trump. Now, the problem with that is the toxicity is gone. They'll try and bring it back. When you get the endorsement by the Clintons, That sounded like to me, I heard Bill go, well, yeah, of course, I'm going to support Kamala. And I heard Hillary go, I'm on it, which means, there's no telling what they'll bring about. Forget about October's surprise. If the Clintons are involved, well, the whole Russian hoax thing, that's all you have to do is just go back to that. So they'll throw, as you've seen over the years, anything and everything at Donald Trump. And that is going to be, they were, in fact, talking about the fundraising on Sunday, getting close to $50 million in one day. These are things that, this is how the game is played. And as you mentioned a minute ago, and we've been saying it for years, you campaign as if you're 20 points behind in every poll, and you fight until the end. I
was reading Philip Wegman's column from the realclearpolitics.com, and he was saying, what they have to do, what Republicans have to do, which mirrors what we have said. You tie Harris to Biden, you hit her on the border, and you simply say, not only was she part of what you got in the Biden administration that she agreed with fully and completely, but she's more radical than Joe. Here's the things that she has said in the past, and you use her in her own words. You could see those on social media yesterday.
Yep.
The surrogates. By the way, this is the beautiful thing about social media. The campaign can sit there and go, oh, we can save some money. What have our surrogates said? What audio cuts have they put up on social media today? So
you share the daylights out of it.
Yeah, so you can hit her extremely hard on that one. You can hit her because one of the things that they're going to say in general is the entire Democratic Party, especially understanding that Trump on who would be better in protecting democracy in the last poll was up by Biden by 11 points.
Right.
That's not going to change much.
Right.
And so you can take that and you can use that, especially now, because you're not talking about the base of the Democratic Party that's going to go along with anything. You're talking about the independents and mostly independents out there that have made this anywhere now between a 12-point and 15, might be 12 and 18-point swing. If you saw, for example, Michigan over the weekend, where Trump was up 7 over Biden, and so there's been a huge swing of independents one way. I don't see huge movement because Kamala Harris is in there,
right?
Because you say, what is she known for? What is Kamala Harris known for? The cackling. That's what she's known for. Her laugh.
Yeah,
that's just the reality.
Well, politically, what would be her signature move? What would be that she promoted in the 2020? Campaign season in the primary? She didn't make it to 2020. She dropped out. And in fact, the story hit December 3rd of 2019, and she ran out of money, and her staff fell apart. And that tells you that her message was not getting across. There is no signature move. There is nothing she's been promising, saying that stands out as something where you can go, oh, that's totally Kamala Harris. There isn't. And so she represents the party as a whole, and that is the radical movement. And here's the problem, too. We've been saying how much weight the issues carried before the debate, before the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. The issues were going because it was, February when the numbers started shifting toward Trump? It was slow, but it started in February. And it was a consistent pace. And then you got to the debate. Well, what was shifting that back in the beginning of the year was the issues. And if independents look at that and say, actually, she's more dangerous because if she gets 8 years, there's no telling how radical they will go, because you have to go back to her radical behavior as a senator. You have to go back to who she actually is at the core and what she actually believes and talks about. No, there's no signature political campaign promise from her But there are moves that she made as a senator. There were things that she has done, things that she has said that were all over social media yesterday in her own words. And you don't have to go far to see them. And that's what the Independent will look at and say, okay, we have to decide now on the issues.
Right. The other thing that you need to keep promoting, and this is when it comes to the whole democracy thing, because you've got the last polling showed Trump with an 11-point lead.
Mm-hmm.
You say, we didn't see from Joe. We didn't get a press conference from Joe.
Right.
We didn't get anything from
Where
him.
was he?
We didn't get you didn't see a picture of him signing the letter. He just put it on Twitter.
Right.
And the question is, what people are wondering is who's running the White House.
Yep.
And so, yes, I call on him to resign because it looks like, from what we can see, it looks like it's the Democrat machine that is picking the candidate for the Democrats, that they don't care what the people think. Now, you're doing that for independents because, let's be honest, a significant portion, because I lie all the other times, because a significant portion of Democrats, as we've said before, want to be BS.
Yeah.
So they'll buy anything that the Democrats are selling them.
Right.
But that's not who you're looking to convert. You're looking to convert and keep the independents on board and the Democrats that have just had enough. Democrats that have had enough with the Democratic Party and had enough with Joe Biden are not going to sit there and go, oh, we love Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't the case. Democrats that have said, no, I'm going to vote for Trump because they've become too elitist. This is the perfect time to throw the elitism, especially after the Republican convention last week, that seemed to completely shun the elites. By the way, someday we'll have to get into a discussion just exactly who are the elites. Now, in the Democratic Party, you can say who they are. They're the Clintons. They're the Obamas. They're the Pelosi's. But Pelosi didn't endorse her either.
Right.
So there's we don't know what's going to happen. It's, I can sit there and say, okay, with Kamala Harris, here's where you start on her. But she's supposed to give a speech sometime after Biden eventually gives a speech. And who knows when that's going to be. Nothing on the docket all week.
Right. I wonder if there's going to be anything from the White House. If Karine Jean-Pierre, if the daily briefings are just going to pause until we hear from him.
Probably, yeah.
By the way, that gives more ammunition to the Republicans in terms of going after him and going after the Democratic Party.
Right. If you go after Biden, you go after it because you're going after. I wouldn't go after Biden for anything except right now because he's done. He's not part of it anymore.
Right.
It's Harris.
Yeah.
But what I would do is say, who's running it? Biden isn't running it now. The White House now. Is Kamala Harris running it now?
Right.
Who's running the White House? Who is it? And you hit the whole thing on democracy because Trump already had an 11-point lead on that one. And that is a key point that Democrats thought they were going to win this election on.
Yep.
And so you attack back on that one big time.
Yep.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Now, that assumes that Kamala Harris is going to be the nominee for the Democrats. Here's Democratic Representative Jasmine Crockett yesterday.
I am not confident at all because, as it was laid out earlier, I do know that, behind closed doors, while I won't name names, that there were people that were absolutely like, it can't be the vice president. So in one breath, they were saying, the president needs to be out. In the next breath, they were also saying it can't be her.
Oh, please name names.
And yeah, exactly. Name names.
Please name names.
Look. If Obama and look, the Democratic Party is a party of identity politics.
Yeah,
these are the things that matter to them.
Yep.
But you have Obama not endorsing a black female.
I asked you that during the break. I said, say this out loud. Why didn't Barack Obama endorse the first black female vice president? Ask yourself that and ask it out loud. Why didn't Barack Obama endorse the black woman?
By the way, we know the conspiracy theory answer, Michelle.
Yeah, because There's another woman that he would like to put in that place.
I
and
still don't believe Michelle Obama's.
I don't. I'm not going to put a dollar on that bet. I've lost money gambling before, though, and so so there are things right now in play that Obama not mentioning Kamala Harris was a big deal, and you just heard more support for that theory that the party's not on board for her. Not everybody in the party is on board. Biden's endorsement means a couple of things. Okay, fine. It can be her. Because, he can't say out loud, yeah, I picked her for my VP, but I didn't mean it. I mean, he has to go the full measure. Of course, she's the logical choice, and I endorse her. But aside from the Clintons, where are the big endorsements that are pouring in? Where's the Obama?
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Well, the Trump campaign and the Trump PACs, they were ready for all this. Here is a commercial that already hit the internet yesterday.
Kamala was in on it. She covered up Joe's obvious mental decline.
Our president is in good shape, in good health, tireless, vibrant, and I have no doubt about the strength of the work that we have done.
But Kamala knew Joe couldn't do the job, so she did it. Look what she got done. A border invasion, runaway inflation, the American dream dead. They created this mess. Kamala owns this failed record. Make America Great Again Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, the cover-up goes across the board, everybody. It was misinformation, disinformation, cheap fake, bordering on deep fake, if you even looked at the video. You're a cheap fake if you watch the video of him freezing on stage. These are the things that they, again, it was the gaslighting and the virtue signaling, how dare you, when they were trying to tell you you shouldn't believe what your eyes are telling you.
Here's Scott Jennings from CNN yesterday, who said he took a trip to San Diego. And he goes, and then this happened.
Yeah.
Everybody, I didn't think it was going to happen this weekend.
I had a feeling that it was going to come to it. I said it a few times last week, that it was coming to a head, and I think it was the COVID thing. I don't know if it was actually COVID or something else happened to the president. Again, I don't want the man to suffer personally. I don't want him to be in ill health. I don't want that for anybody. But there was something clear that was going on when you watched him trying to get on Air Force One and then trying to get in the limo.
And again, I don't know. NBC's saying it had nothing to do with that. It all had to do with the polling numbers. You had Michigan. Yeah. You're down by 7 in Michigan, and you and I brought up the poll that was done by the Democrats late last week. Mm-hmm. I think we brought it up on Thursday morning show because the next day would have been the final night of the RNC, and that just showed. I mean, that showed Biden down by astronomical numbers. I mean, what was it? Yeah. Georgia, 11 points. North Carolina by like 10 points. I mean, it was where they looked at it and said even, people like Josh Shapiro, Whitmer from Michigan, whatever, they were on average doing 5 points better in the polling, but still that meant they still lost every battleground state.
Well, I said a couple of months ago that it was the first time I was convinced that he wasn't physically or mentally going to be able to finish the campaign itself till November 5th. Forget about January 20th. There was something going on, and I just didn't have that confidence. And because we had seen a measurable decline. And then when the donors pull out, it's a cumulative effect. And last week just seemed to be the week.
Yeah, I just thought he was going to give it one one more shot this week. I just didn't expect it on coming this Sunday. I expected it. You and I were, again, we don't really make these kind of predictions, but when the donors started saying, well, when you got to the point, this was early last week, that $90 million of that was going to be donated was going to be pulled back. At that point, we said, okay, that just gave the approval of all other donors to say, we're not going to support your campaign, and you're already down this much. And I think he or his family saw the political reality at that point that
the money's gone,
that he couldn't win. But he also, as NBC said, felt betrayed that this is something that, and by the way, I don't blame them. They're the ones that went out there. Joe's going, they've been lying. The family and Joe saying they've been lying, about me for the last couple of years.
Well, I said,
and all of a sudden, one debate and it's all over. What's going on? Where's your loyalty to me? You were loyal all these years.
Keep lying for me. Come on.
Yeah, nothing to do with whether they were loyal to you. It has the fact that they got caught. That debate was so bad that they got caught in the lie.
And I think, too, it's, I mentioned this, I did mention this last week, is that, all right, Defiant Joe, great, I'll get out, fine. Okay, I'll even endorse Kamala, fine. And then November 6th, told you, she loses to Trump, and he goes, I could have won. He's going to take that as a part of his legacy. Oh, I would have won. I would have won. I would have won. And he'll just take that all the way to the bank, and maybe quite literally.
Well, those theories will be coming up, I'm sure, in the next 24 hours.
A Chinese bank.
Why did he resign so quickly?
Yeah.
But here's Scott Jennings, Republican strategist on CNN yesterday.
What does this moment mean for Republicans?
Yeah, it's shocking. I mean, if I had known the second coming of the Lord Almighty was going to happen on the East Coast this weekend, I wouldn't have gone to San Diego. I'd have been there with you. But here we are, 3 weeks after the Cheap Fakes, by the way, episode, which the most embarrassing gaslighting that ever happened. I mean, Republicans are going to paint Kamala Harris as Joe Biden. She's been number 2 in the administration that has a mid-30s approval rating that's overseeing this inflation crisis. She was the border czar for the immigration crisis that everybody is mad about. And on top of that, she's been one of the principal ringleaders of the cover-up of Joe Biden's actual condition. So I hear I've been listening for the last couple of hours, a lot of crowing and pumping up of Kamala Harris. But let's not forget, she's not a great politician. She ran for president once, and it was a complete disaster. And right now, it looks like she, Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, and a bunch of rich people have just pushed Joe Biden out of this race and in the process disenfranchised millions of Democrat voters.
And I think you're going to hear that over and over again, because that was the one key. And we said it a couple of weeks ago. We said, look, Biden's in deep trouble, not only because of all the other polling, but when you look at who is most trusted to protect democracy, Trump beat him by 11 points.
Yeah.
And we went, it's over. I don't know. With the donors pulling out, if you don't have that, because that was the fear tactic, it doesn't change. That doesn't change with Kamala. I don't know what issue she brings. Now, of course, I saw Democrats yesterday. She's got to be up there because she's a female talking about abortion.
Yeah.
Well, that's like they've been pounding abortion since Dodds was settled a couple of years ago.
Well, her party, again, rejected her early in the 2020 season and got an old white guy. So, she can try and play that game. Well, this is just a bunch of old white guys. You need to point to your own party first.
I was reading, let me find this here. Matt Walsh had this yesterday. Because I think Republicans will try to bring this up one way or another because of DEI. A poetic way to end this year of reckoning with the madness of DEI. It concludes with the DEI vice president likely becoming the nominee despite not receiving a single vote from a voter. Very fitting that the first black female presidential nominee was handed the job and didn't earn it.
Well, there you have it. She tried to, I don't know if she was thinking about this at all. But Kamala Harris yesterday said, look, I'm going to earn and win the nomination. And I thought, oh, that's interesting, because everybody's saying she didn't earn where she is now. And certainly after Sunday, didn't earn it. The Washington Post lined out how the day went. Biden woke up at, the crack of noon and called her directly first. And then his chief of staff and they were all involved in that. So then they get on and they get a call together at 1:45 Eastern p.m. for the staff that he was closest to. It doesn't say in the Washington Post who that was. And they get them on, and then they tell them. And then we were learning about it.
1:46, they put out the tweet,
right
the
then.
X.
And where I saw it first? My New York Post app had the push notification, and it didn't say breaking. It said Joe Biden drops out of the race, and I thought, hold on, what am I missing here? Clicked on X immediately, and then boom, 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 boom. And you look at the situation, and again, she's a horrible candidate. It doesn't mean that they can't build a massive facade. The Democrats are known for doing this. Tell me who their last great candidate was. Obama was about euphoria, the first black president. He was a rock star. The rock star age is gone. And you can't make her a rock star.
Yeah, I've seen the commercials on TV with Billy Idol.
Yeah.
You're not a rock star.
Yeah,
I'm a rock star.
Yeah. and all these things, that they have been trying to play. Well, we go back to, I mentioned earlier, the grassroots fundraising that was close to $50 million for the day. I think as of 9 p.m. Eastern, it was $46.7 million. And so, all right, let's ask the question, what about that $90 million that was being reported being withheld because Biden wouldn't drop out? And that's by the way, I love the way the New York Post phrased it. I don't know if the donors actually phrased it this way or if it's just classic New York Post phrasing. No dough until no Joe or something like that. It sounds exactly the way that the New York Post would write it. But where's that $90 million? Where are the big donors at with Kamala Harris is my question.
Well, I did see, because, you've seen some legal analysis, and the legal analysis before all this happened said that they believed, I think it was a National Review, that Kamala Harris gets his money because it's the same campaign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
I saw another analysis. I think it was in Fox News from somebody from the FEC that said the donations have to be given back, that one of the problems is he wasn't nominated yet.
Oh.
And so I'm not sure. I haven't been able to figure out which one is more likely to be right legally, because we're in uncharted territory here. That since he wasn't nominated,
even if he's the presumptive nominee,
right?
Wow, huh.
He's not nominated, so she doesn't get the money.
Wow. Okay. All right.
And so but here's another thing. Look, they kicked Joe out because they knew that they got caught in the lie, and they knew his numbers would crash. They got caught in the lie, and his numbers crashed.
Yeah.
If Kamala Harris's numbers are Biden-like, and again, I'm not going to look at the numbers, even if they do they're doing internal polling right now post-debate.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing it probably Monday and Tuesday, and you'll see 2-day polls coming out. They want to see how she's performed now that she is the presumptive nominee.
Yeah.
And because now she's not the nominee yet, but if she's not performing well, I guarantee that you're going to have, especially the left and others, you're going to see more of a push. Look, Joe Manchin first said, no, I'm not going to run. Then later on said, well, I might consider running.
Yeah.
Re-signing up as a Democrat and running again. I heard somebody say, Oh, I was scanning so much yesterday. Mitt Romney needs to run.
Mm-hmm.
We know he's not a Democrat, but the fact is, if he runs as a Democrat, he can get voted in, and Trump won't get in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, they're just throwing stuff at the barn wall now.
Yeah.
And so it's just, and the one group we haven't heard from is the far left. We may hear from them in Chicago, but you haven't heard from the far left because the far left, once the Democratic Socialist said we're done with AOC, who do they back? And since more members of the squad have come out for Kamala Harris, who do they back? They now view her. She's being viewed as not the far left liberal she is, but part of the elite establishment.
Right. Yeah.
And you are going to get some Democrats that are going to go, my God, this is like the old Soviet Union where the party picks the candidate, not the people, because I believe that will be effective with a significant portion out there. And if Democrats don't have the fact that they will protect democracy more when it's obvious, remember, and it's not the first time, Democrats understand what happened to Bernie Sanders.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Remember in 2016?
Oh, yeah, we learned that when...
I'm sorry, in 2020.
Yeah, that was 2016. Yeah, it was 2016.
No, 2020 when Clyburn endorsed Biden in South Carolina, and then he won South Carolina, and then
it was
Sanders.
Hillary versus Sanders, and Sanders was rising on the West Coast. That would have been 2016.
Right, it happened both then. Happened 2016 and 2020.
Yeah, but the bigger fallout at the DNC was 2016.
Oh, it was huge in 2020 when that was when they said.
Well, it was the second time, so
yeah.
But
sorry, that was great. That's a solid answer. Yeah, but that was the second time they were used to it by then.
Well, no, I'm saying they were angrier actually.
Yeah,
that you did it again. So
and so this is another time here where it's just like, but this is even more blunt because they're like, all the voters, it doesn't matter. It's going to be the party delegates that pick it. We don't care about the voters out there. But I think a lot of Democratic voters are fine with it.
Well, here it is from, and this is last Thursday, thehill.com. I think we mentioned this. The Economist YouGov survey found 79% of Democrats would support Harris as the party's nominee in November if Biden chose to withdraw from the race.
Mm-hmm.
So there you have it.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care if they're a part of the process. They love being BS'd, and they'll just go along with whatever.
Yeah,
if it fits the narrative.
It's not about Kamala Harris.
No. 866-90-RED-I.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Most owner-operators leased to larger carriers are paid on a per-mile basis or a percentage of revenue per load. The per-mile basis is most prevalent among larger fleets. Percentage at smaller. Pay per mile tends to dominate discussions about pay just because it's easier to measure, and pay per mile often is wrongly used as the deciding factor in leasing to a carrier. While pay per mile can be a vital factor, it's not a cure for every ill, nor does it mean a big settlement check is coming an owner-operator's way. Why? Because pay per mile always must be considered in balance with gross revenue as well as total costs. Gross revenue can include flat mileage pay that varies by length of haul, percentage revenue pay, and more. Most importantly, though, for every revenue dollar generated, only part of that dollar is profit. But for every extra dollar of cost saved, the entire dollar contributes to profit. Knowing and understanding your cost to operate is fundamental to understanding the true value of any pay package. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics. Brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Friday Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. We'll hear from the Speaker of the House following the bottom of the hour, who was talking about every state. This is actually before Biden said he's not going to run. He dropped out of the race, said every state has their own election system, and the Democratic Party is going to be facing huge lawsuits to try to remove him from the top of the ticket. It's going to be interesting here. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens this week, where we are by the time we get to Friday. And on Fox with Brett Baer yesterday, they're talking about not just the history of this moment, but the fact of the history that we have no idea what's going on at the White House. There's no picture. There's no nothing of Biden doing this. Here he withdraws from the race, and we hear and see absolutely nothing except the tweets.
Right.
Bringing on the chaos, Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. Red Eye Radio.
Well, no, I would disagree. Observing the chaos and having a few comments on it is more of what we're doing. We're not creating any chaos.
Well,
maybe a little bit.
We start a few rumors.
Well,
every once in a while,
maybe a little chaos, like right now. We need to understand that again. Where we are right now might not be where we are by the end of the week. There are so many things to consider when we talk about Democrats. We have no idea what the polling for Kamala Harris will be and what their internal polling will show from polls that are done from now till whatever happens at the convention.
Yeah, well,
because
she's got to perform.
Right. So we have no idea what's going to happen there, but we do know that some of the debates, especially on identity politics, that the Democrats get into, like this debate a while back with Don Lemon and April Ryan. You ready for this?
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to do. Right? Here we go.
When you see her blackness, but she is also South Asian. Her mom is South Asian, and her dad is Jamaican.
April. Let me listen.
Yes.
More power to her, and I think it's great. That should be enough. Listen, it is enough that she's a black woman.
We are not a monolith.
No.
Exactly. But they did the same thing.
No. I think you're not hearing what people are saying. The people who are saying is she black enough? That's bull. That's BS. But to want a distinction to say, is she African American, or is she black, or is she whatever? There is nothing wrong with that. There is a difference between being African American and being black. Latino people are people of color, but they're not black. They're brown people.
She is a woman of color, but she is a black woman.
Okay, that's why I agree with that. I agree with that. But is she African American? No. But is she African American? There is a difference. There's nothing wrong with that. No one is trying to take anything away from her.
Let's go down into her lineage.
I think you're falling into a trap of that. All she had to do was say, "I am black, but I'm not African American." That's it.
Don, I'm not falling in a trap. I'm not falling in. Let me finish. Hold on. I'm not falling into a trap by that. When she goes down her lineage, many Africans landed in Jamaica and all these other Caribbean islands. So she could indeed
Jamaica's
be
not America.
African American mixed with other races. But she is
Jamaica's not America.
But she is a black woman. She was
Jamaica
born
did not
here.
Come out of Jim Crow.
Okay, well let's go into Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz.
You know, here's the
By the
problem
way,
with
we're not playing. She said Ted Cruz. Republicans don't play that game.
No, they don't. They don't.
Democrats play the game. That's the identity politics of the.
Here's the problem. That's right there. That's the problem in writing the DEI handbook. The conversation you just heard. Hey, I have a question. What are her qualifications?
Well, what I objected to there in the identity politics is that, it wasn't the debate between African American and black. It was the fact that they all agreed she was a woman. How do you know?
We haven't actually heard that from her.
Right.
Now, she does on her X page, she put she/her.
So she identifies from what we know as a woman.
According to her X page, I mean, I'm assuming that's her writing that.
Now,
I don't know.
But since Democrats don't know what a woman is, can you self-identify as a woman when you clearly are the party that cannot identify what a woman is?
A woman is what a woman is, and women are what a woman should be. And when it's a woman talking about women, I'm trying to give you the answer she would give you.
Well, I can understand some people would say, well, look, she's always a woman to me. Or, I am woman, watch me roar. But still you need to get to the actual definition, which they can't do.
Is she an American woman? Stay away from me.
Well, listen what I say.
Is it any more ridiculous than the things she says?
No, it's not.
It's far more entertaining. You're welcome.
But that was the first time ever that you or I have ever quoted the Guess Who on the radio.
For young people, Lenny Kravitz didn't write it. He did a pretty good job on the cover, but yeah.
It's Burton Cummings is I know he's older, but he's his own band's coming to an arena just a few minutes from the house, and I was like,
man, you had to tell me that, didn't you?
Like during the week, and I'm like, because I think probably when you go back in rock and roll, there is a debate that he has one of the greatest rock voices ever.
You can, and I've said it, because all of the range of songs, American Woman, She's Come Undone,
No Sugar Tonight,
all of these they kind of, it's almost three different genres there. I mean, they all fall under pop and rock, but, American Woman is a Heart of Driving song. She's Come Undone is a ballad, kind of.
The end of Hand Me Down, where he starts screaming, and it's just normally if you're a lot of rockers will start screaming. I'm like, and he screams, and you're like, yeah.
And No Sugar Tonight was kind of that,
same thing,
pop thing, and but he could sing anything. I mean, it was always beautiful. It was always great.
Now, is he Canadian? I'm just throwing that out.
Now, we'll also have the debate, mustache, no mustache. I like the mustache. But, yeah, it's – well, here's the thing. It's funny because while you were playing that cut from Don Lemon going, but she's – but that's not African American. And I thought, well, you sound like a nationalist. How dare you, Don Lemon? Oh my gosh.
My.
It is so chaotic. And this is what you're going to hear. Now, the Democratic Party has one hope. Has really one goal, and that is to bring everybody together for her. Again, the fissure in the ice is Barack Obama right now. I mean, again, he could issue a statement. Maybe he writes
and Pelosi.
And Pelosi, yes, no, and those are these. We're talking two major players, former leaders, still considered to be leaders of their party. It's not a small thing. But it really only matters what George Clooney thinks. I'm waiting for the piece in the New York Times for George Clooney to tell me how to vote.
Well, yeah, but the Republicans are going to be saying Obama the Hollywood elite. With Clooney.
There's the question.
The Obamas, the Hollywood elite, they're the ones who are picking your president if you're a Democrat, or your presidential nominee if you're a Democrat.
Okay, so TMZ. Okay, you guys got to listen, TMZ. Find George Clooney. Forget Stephanopoulos. Find George Clooney on the street and ask him if he endorses Kamala, because George Clooney and Barack Obama have become twins. They're so close. They are so close. They are almost legally twins.
Well, shouldn't we discuss pigment?
Nope.
You heard April Ryan say that.
yeah, I know. I know. It's like, no, it's seriously, it's like, okay, can we talk about qualifications? I mean, it really, because especially now, I mean, that's an older conversation, but now it's going to be about, it has to be, well, for, people who actually care about the issues. The left doesn't, but I really do wonder where the endorsements, you said it, I don't know if you said it on the air or off the air, but the next week is going to be a big tell. I think you said that on the air. As to who we see, by the way, it's not going to be Manchin. I don't know that the last president to be elected, the last person to be elected president that lived on a boat, and he didn't live on a boat full time, was George Washington. It's not going to happen. It's just give it up. And by the way, I love this, because on Sunday I was thinking, well, wait a minute. Joe Manchin has to be the hero with Democrats now. Remember, he was the bad guy. Why does one guy in the party have all that power? And they were railing against him. Then he comes out. The story breaks over the weekend that he's come out calling for, by the way to be a leader, way to be ahead of the pack there, Joe Manchin. So he calls for Joe Biden to step down, and then Joe Biden steps down on Sunday. And I'm thinking, now the Democrats can forgive him for all that other pain that he caused. Then he says, I'm gonna go back to being later in the day. I'm considering reaffiliating with the Democratic Party and considering a run. Or the story came out, and then you saw the one with Mitt Romney, someone making the case for.
Yeah, I said that earlier.
Yeah.
Well, how about the Manchin Mitt Romney party
before they announced Joe Biden? There was a story. There was an earlier story on the weekend.
But I'm suggesting the Manchin
Romney
ticket.
Yeah.
Which wasn't that suggested like?
No, it was. No, the
a
rumor
year ago
was,
by the other party that we don't hear from anymore.
Well, that was right. And remember the idea that, or the story that got out about Romney. He learned about it from the media. Hey, what's this story about, Manchin, Pop choosing you as a Veep and blah, blah, blah. He went, no. Which was clearly a programmed response. But the entire thing, we would have our first AI vice president if that happened. The entire thing, though, is the chaos that you see, because Obama's not on board. Pelosi's not on board. Why not? Why didn't Barack Obama immediately come out and endorse? He goes on, think about this. He goes on in his statement about Joe, praising Joe Biden. This is why I picked him. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, we know it's all crap. But why not carry on the crap to the full end? Because if you're praising Joe Biden, you have to praise his pick for Veep. And naturally. And she's a woman of color. Why did you not, Barack Obama, endorse Kamala Harris from the get-go? Why didn't that happen? Why not Pelosi? Pelosi, you're not endorsing the woman? What, you don't like the woman? Sounds close to ribbon, doesn't it?
She's from California?
She's from California? How could you not?
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So with Biden never said he was sick in any way. That's not why he's leaving.
Right.
And so you have Democrats. No Democrat will tell you precisely why Biden is leaving. You're going to have the Republicans come out and say it's his cognitive abilities, and everybody knows it, and that's what the admission is of it. But what the Biden campaign is attempting to tell you, which means Harris is probably going to go along with it, is that because the New York Times or the NBC story said he's not pulling out for anything except the fact that he knows he can't win.
Right.
And so the fact is you have the Democratic Party now, which is saying, okay, 14 million people voted for this particular person. The people voted in the primary process. Now he doesn't think he can win because of the polls. He's pulling out and letting the party decide who becomes the next candidate.
Right.
Well, that's not protecting democracy.
Right.
What happened to democracy?
Right.
And that's why the Republicans need to push that, because they were already behind, according to the last poll we saw, by 11 points. The Democrats were, at least Biden was, when it came to protecting democracy, behind Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we said at that point, we said, he's in deep trouble now with that poll coming out on the donors, because nobody cares about climate change.
Right.
Climate change doesn't matter to the American public. It's at the bottom of the list.
Right.
Racism, that's not an issue that is drawing people to vote.
Right.
Democracy was what the Democrats had. That was it.
Right.
And now the Republicans have a perfect example by what the Democrats say. The Democrats aren't saying he is sick and is incapable of running. The White House isn't saying that. Harris isn't saying that. So what they're saying is, we don't believe in the Democratic primary process that's been set up.
Right.
Tell us where we're wrong.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thanks for being here.
Hello.
Just saw Michael Moore's tweet.
Yeah?
This is interesting. He's calling for Biden to resign the presidency and have Kamala Harris take over as the incumbent.
Yeah.
And then immediately pull out of Gaza. Or, excuse me, immediately call for a ceasefire in Gaza.
Right.
That's how you win. And I wonder how many Democrats are going to jump on that bandwagon, that Biden needs to be out to put Harris in as an incumbent. You've heard a lot of Dark Brandon talk about, since he's a lame duck, what he might do. Well, if it isn't popular, it taints Harris.
Yeah.
Democrats are thinking that right now.
Right.
What if the rest of the, between now and November, because Biden being ticked off that everybody has betrayed him, decides to sabotage it all, and so are Democrats going to start calling? Will Democrats be the ones saying, all right, he needs to be out of office because we're better off if she's an incumbent?
Well, or she proves that she's completely incapable. There's that. By the way, you probably should change the lock code on the Oval Office just to be safe. Don't let him in. What's going on? I had something wrong with the door. The door's broke, sir. It's the door. It's not about locking you out at all. Hey, why don't we go out to the Rose Garden? But this is a concern. That was one of my first concerns. All right. Then he's going to give, he's going to pre-forgive student debt for anybody ever that goes to college from now till the end of the time. Executive order. All these things that, that you look at the dynamics of Sunday and how this could play out. Because I thought, there is a reason we're not seeing him. And that reason could be something far beyond COVID, and he just doesn't have the energy to finish. I was telling you during one of the breaks earlier, all right, so he cleared a lot of his schedule for campaigning for the year until November. So now that's free. Is he going to be on the world stage a lot? You shouldn't. For the very reason that you forced him to step down and not run again. So then what? You put her on the world stage as the de facto president, but she's still the vice president? All right. That's also a risk. I don't know where you go on that. I don't know what the play is.
I do think that if in the next week she doesn't perform well in the polls, you're going to see, because if Biden has gone, it's going to be no problem, they believe, dumping Harris if her poll numbers are not there.
Right.
If it's that bad, I mean, remember, they lied for years about the president, and then in one debate, when the lie was so obvious, Biden was gone. They dumped him, criticized him. They have no problem. They have no need for him anymore. He's gone.
Yeah.
Well, Harris, they know Harris's weaknesses. They know she's not a strong candidate.
Right.
That's why Obama didn't endorse her yesterday. That's why Pelosi didn't endorse her. They don't think she's a strong candidate. And so they're just trying to find a way, how can we justifiably get rid of her? Well, the only way you could do it is the polling numbers are so bad. Her polling numbers are worse, and I don't know if that's going to be the case. But if that is within a week, because they don't have a lot of time, unless they move back that August 7th date and have more of an open convention. And then it could be pure lunacy. And who, for example, I was, looking at the list of who, wanted, who they were talking about could serve with her. But think about this. It's like Governor Shapiro of Pennsylvania is one that they talked about. But on CNN, they talked about, he's a Jew.
Yeah, they actually mentioned that.
Yeah.
Well, one of the concerns is, what? Oh, yeah, it's the left.
He's a Jew.
The anti-Semitism has to be part of the consideration. Wow.
Got to consider the anti-Semites of our party. I mean, my God. I mean, that's where the Democratic Party is. And, I look at everybody else. Newsom, I don't think has any interest. I do think, and there were some that I saw on Twitter stating what we have, that nobody really wants to be a part of this because they still believe that Trump will win, and they would rather start anew because Trump only has 4 years. They would rather set their own political fate or destiny based on what they can do in 2028 and not now riding, if there's any coattails to ride, on Biden or Kamala Harris.
And they can start as soon as November 6th of this year. The day after the election, you just start, you just get out there and then and he's the Antichrist and blah, 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 blah. And it's something I've been saying for a while, a theory that I've thrown about for a while, that I do believe, I can't quantify it, but I do believe there are a number of Democrats. Again, I don't know how many, but there are a number of Democrats that are absolutely okay with that. Really, because they look at it and say, I don't want to jump in and lose to Trump. I don't want to jump in and leapfrog over Kamala Harris now. I don't want to do anything that's going to make the DNC more chaotic. I'm just going to do the wave. I support the nominee, blah, 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 yada, 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 wah, 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 wah. And also let Trump inherit Joe's mess. They know the economy is an impossible task. Because if you lower interest rates, inflation's going to stay hot, or it's going to get hotter than even where it is now. If you lower interest rates, you're not going to get to that target of 2. But you're doing that to spur growth? Well, yeah, but you're going to spur more inflation. Or you go up on interest rates, and then the housing slows down, and you have a problem that they had in the 80s. And quite possibly it leads to a recession, which is where it should have gone. And they've been riding that fence, Jerome Powell at the Fed, this whole time. This whole soft landing. That's not a soft landing. You're not going to land at all. You're trying to ride the fence. And you're trying to get through this now political season so you can you're not even going to pass the baton to Trump's administration. You're just going to drop it and leave it on the track. And if you're a Democrat, if you're someone like Newsom, and you're considering one day running for president, I'd say that's a very strong play. Leave it. Let Trump and the Republicans come in, make them the demons all over again. They're not going to be able to get a lot of things done that they want to get done. And 4 years is a very short period of time, if they even have that, because at the midterm, Republicans, they've been known to do it, could blow it on Capitol Hill, and then Trump is lame duck for 2 years. So then we come in fresh in 28, and away we go.
I think what the Democrats want right now, I could be wrong, but what I sense is why you didn't have Obama endorse Kamala Harris is because she's a known quantity of the Biden administration. She was put in charge of the border. We know what happened there. She's also been part, and they understand that the Republicans, one of the things that Democrats fear, I saw yesterday a number of Democrats say, oh, you can tell the Republicans are scared to death because they're talking about, by picking Harris, that it's going to end democracy. So, they're panicking because that's what we throw at them. Ignoring the fact that the latest polling that came out about 3 weeks ago on who would protect democracy more, Trump led Biden by 11 points. Mm-hmm. I don't think that just sticks to Biden. I think that sticks to the Democrats.
Yeah.
And this administration. And so you look at that, and the situation right now, the brand is so tainted right now that you look at it and you say, okay, I'm a Democrat. Who do we want? Well, Harris isn't the one. For the most part, she's pulled lower than Biden has over the period of the last 6 months. Mm-hmm. There's been a few polls where she was a little better, but, especially lately because he was so weak. But Trump still beats her. Yeah. And again, that's when she's a hypothetical. Now that she's maybe you might be able to say a presumptive nominee, who knows? Or the leading nominee, the leading candidate to be the nominee. Maybe people will take it, when they answer that question, would take it more seriously. And I don't know whether her numbers would go up or down. But I think what they're looking for, and I don't think they're going to get it now, they're looking for candidates that aren't known to the American public, that are fresh faces. Because the Democrats survive on new personalities that will bring you hope.
And change.
The what?
And change.
Hope and change, right. Even if they believe the same as the candidate that you disagree with on all the policies. And let's be honest, all the Democrats really agree on the same far left policies that Biden wants and Harris wants. So what they're trying to do is get a different personality in there. a new personality, a fresh face. Even Whitmer, for the average person, they don't know who she is.
No, it's true. Yeah, no,
you're amazed.
You don't want the baggage. Well, they may have plenty of baggage coming from their own state, and if the Republicans do their job in campaigning against them, you bring that baggage to the surface. But when you said hope, because I was thinking in that moment, Barack Obama, you're trying to bring in somebody who doesn't have the baggage. And if you think about 2016, the baggage was all on Hillary, and Barack Obama didn't have any. In fact, he was a brand new open book and used hope and change, which is a blank slate of a campaign slogan.
Yeah, I don't. The thing that hit me was when I woke up last night, and I was expecting another name besides Manchin, and there's no other name mentioned.
Yeah,
no other person with any interest.
Right.
That's where I see the door might be closing unless they're waiting for the thing would be, let's wait for the polls to come out middle of the week post Biden resigning and see how Harris is standing up right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if she's not, then you can jump aboard.
Yeah.
Because I think you'll see developments happen quickly in the next 10 days if it's not going to be her. And I think what they're looking for, look, Biden's gone because of the polls.
Yeah.
He's gone because they couldn't lie. They got caught in the lie. Democrats and the media got caught in the big lie.
Mm-hmm.
We all knew. The American public knew for over a year.
Yep.
That Biden's had cognitive problems. They still haven't admitted it on the Democrat side.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just got caught. They're trying to find a representative, a new fresh face that cannot be tied to the negative policies of this administration.
Right.
And they just don't know what to do with Kamala Harris since she was the DEI pick. I love how someone says, by saying that's racist. No, by picking her is racist.
Right.
Based on how they picked her, it must be a black woman.
Well, saying it's racist, then are you saying you don't support DEI?
Exactly.
We can do this all day.
Exactly. So that's the problem that they have right now. And again, this thing could be just like we've gone through the last 3 weeks, up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. Oh, it looks like it's going to be her. Oh, she's not polling well. Get rid of her.
Yeah.
She's not polling well. She can't beat Trump either. And then it becomes it's already there in the public. The Politburo is attempting to pick the
Pentaveret.
The Pentaveret is of the old Soviet Union. The party is attempting to pick the nominee.
The Rothschilds.
They're not going to go with the people. And so I would advise, I don't think they need my advice on this one, but I would advise they pound that over and over again, that it's the Democrats that don't believe in democracy.
Right.
Because what issue? Because the only thing I've seen with Kamala Harris, well, she could be the one that go out there and promote abortion because she's a woman.
Okay.
It's like, okay.
All right.
How does she hit inflation? The border.
Right.
The anti-Semitism
everything that's
of her
affecting
party.
everybody every day. Those are the issues. And that's reality. It's not the abstract.
Yep. 866-90-RED-I.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-I on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, this came from libs of TikTok. This is a TikToker who has a complete meltdown because Biden dropped out. Now, this may be better than the Earth First video that we have played for years of people remember. Here we go. This woman's in a vehicle.
Right.
Here we go. And there's music behind it. she's hitting
He dropped out! He dropped out! Joe Biden, please! Gen Z, we need to band together. Please. He was for Gen Z's first president.
At first, when you played that before we went on there, you wanted to preview it to make sure there was no cursing, and you were playing it, and I thought, my mom kind of said those same words. She didn't cry. But when I dropped out of karate class, because I was tired of getting kicked in the face repeatedly.
Karate.
She was like, I can't believe you dropped out. This is...
My God.
Seriously.
Well,
if you're crying like that at a funeral, I'm with you, because I'd probably be... I will cry at a funeral. If you're crying like that because Joe Biden dropped out of the presidential race, wow. Wow. I can't begin to tell you how much this is screaming for attention for me. Look how sad I am. Wow.
I care more than you because
exactly.
I'm crying.
I'm screaming and crying.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I'm going to play this audio cut. Brett Barron, Dana Perino on after he announced that he wasn't going to continue his run for the presidency. And they said what everybody else is saying, wow, how he made it is just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And we'll go down in history, by the way.
Yeah.
This is all historic stuff that we're living through
brand
right now.
new territory, yep.
Here we go.
Not physically seeing him, even address a camera in Delaware, let alone an Oval Office statement like LBJ did when he dropped out in March of 1968, it is disconcerting, isn't it?
Brett, they didn't even release a White House still photograph. Nothing. So are we, I mean, I hope he's fine. But you could forgive people for wondering if we are really living Weekend at Bernie's right now. Like, proof of life, please. Let's see it, okay? We want the president to be okay. I do want him to be able to leave on a note that is high in his mind, right? So that he feels like he had this public service career where he achieved the ultimate, and he's obviously unwell. And so,
looked after him while we were gone.
You know, we want him to be a person that can, like, stand on his own 2 feet and look the American people in the eye and explain why he's leaving. Because without that, imagine what your allies, your adversaries, your enemies, your military, your voters are all sitting there going, well, wait, so why are you withdrawing? Is it because of health? And if so, please let us know so we can pray for you.
Think about this. We have no idea why the president is no longer running for office. By his statement and by what the Democrats are saying. We all know what it is, but we don't know what it is officially because he didn't say it.
We don't have a reason.
Okay.
You know, we heard words like, you know, and then from others, we heard words like, oh, he's a patriot and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you were the ones shoving him off the rails. So, but he's a patriot. He did the right. Why did he drop out? And where is he? You know, here's the thing, too. Everybody asking on X yesterday, well, does he really have COVID? Or was it one of those, okay, we need to get you into isolation. We can't explain it any other reason. It worked for us for the entire 2020 season, and we know that was 2020. But hey, you're 81. People will certainly understand you've got COVID. So just walk really slowly in front of the cameras, and we'll tell them you don't feel well, and then you'll be back out in front of in a statement. Well, I'll make a statement. I don't know, is it going to be another piece of paper or posting on X? You're going to make an appearance?
Mm-hmm. By the way, all the liberal analysis of what happened is that he is not leaving because of anything. Forget about what his brother said, because you saw that a spokesperson that knows the family said, well, he's an alcoholic. You don't pay attention to what Frank says. You saw that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just this even he can't even get out right. He can't even quit. It's so bad for Democrats. They can't even quit right.
What a great point. You can't even never underestimate the ability of Joe Biden to F things up, even dropping out of a presidential race. Wow. Don't pay attention to his brother. He's an alcoholic. Well, hey, did we mention his son's a crack addict? These are these are the realities, though.
It's because of how you did this and not giving a reason for leaving the race, right. Republicans are now saying you were forced out. The elite have forced you out. The liberal media is backing everybody up. I'll see if I can find I believe it was the New York, or not the New York Times. I think it was I think it was NBC maybe. I'll see if I can find it. I don't have it here. I thought it was at Real Clear Politics. It's not.
Well, it was just the other day on Friday where we were being told that, he's getting the heavy dosages of the antiviral drug and the whole thing, and he's doing much better, and he's doing much better. The statement was one page. You couldn't put him in front of a camera for a minute, for 1 minute. He would be sitting down and reading.
Right. Yep.
Oval Office. Yep. Very simple. Record it. Don't even go live. Record it and then put it out all over. So where is he? Where is he? And why did he step down? I mean, if I'm on the debate stage, it's going to be relentless. It's going to be relentless. Trump versus Kamala. You were part of it. You guys scammed your own part. I mean, I wouldn't even answer any other questions. You guys scammed your own party. Look at this.
From, let me just make sure I get this all right here. From Rich Lowry. Complicit in the Biden cover-up, the lying Democrats have lost all credibility.
Yeah.
They did not soulfully consider Joe Biden's marked decline and decide for the good of him, his party, and the country that he had to step down. They lied and they got caught. The Democratic Party line on President Biden was that he had turned in an exceptionally effective State of the Union address. He might mess up a name here or there, but he had gotten better with age. He should be judged on his achievements, which rivaled those of LBJ. Anything suggesting he was in decline was a paranoid lie, or, in a truly ridiculous narrative, a cheap fake. Everything we saw with our own eyes was misleading. No, he had not wandered off at the G7 summit. No, he had not frozen up at that Hollywood fundraiser. No, everything was fine. No one formally enforced this party line, but everybody knew to follow it. Democratic leaders, journalists, and donors. The whispered conversations stayed whispered. Then the debate happened, and before it had ended, the party line was inoperative. There were attempts to revive it, but it was a little like being a communist in the 1930s when Stalin wrenched the party into a totally new position. It didn't matter whether the new had any connection to the prior line, it had to be followed. So Joe Scarborough of MSNBC, who months earlier had issued forth a table-thumping assurance that Joe Biden was at the absolute top of his game, suddenly thought he might need to step aside. George Clooney, who co-hosted the aforementioned Hollywood fundraiser, wrote in the New York Times that Biden at the event was a shadow of himself, and suddenly former Obama speechwriter John Favreau could say that everyone he talked to at the event was appalled by Biden's state. The president can be forgiven for being disappointed and angry that everyone who had been covering for him switched overnight.
Yeah.
There's no honor among thieves.
Oh, man.
But shouldn't there at least be a little bit among political co-conspirators?
That's a great point. Just a little bit?
Biden showed incredible poor judgment in deciding to run again last year. He almost certainly was in the grips of legitimate self-delusion, though. His enablers, though, were truly cynical and dishonest, hoping their fake narrative about Biden's continued vitality could see them through until November. Their credibility should be shot as they attempt their great switcheroo.
Wow.
The same Democrat establishment that gave you Joe Biden without offering Democrat voters a legitimate choice. Serious primary challengers were warned off this year. Now they have no choice. Now the party will pick who the candidate would be. They lied to their, this is, we said this last week, too.
Yeah.
The biggest people they lied to was their own people.
Yep.
But Democrats are okay when their politicians lie to them. We've talked about this before. We've talked about how so many people, especially liberals, love to be BS'd.
Yep.
They love to be lied to us. They know at times they're being lied to, and they're okay with the lie because they know that the lie is going towards a narrative that they agree with anyway.
We have heard over the years and for years from Democrats that have said the same thing. They've called us and said the same thing. We're okay with the lies. If it gets us to the same goal, we're good. And they're okay with that. This entire equation is going to require people being okay with different lies. They weren't okay with the lies about Biden, but they'll be okay with all the other lies now about Biden now that he's no longer a threat to the party. I don't know where you get the math, though, because, again, there was no desire for her to be the nominee in 2020. Not even close. She was picked. She wasn't elected.
The same Democratic establishment that gave you Joe Biden without offering Democratic voters a legitimate choice, serious primary challengers were warned off this year, now wants to give you Kamala Harris without offering Democrat voters a legitimate choice. The same party that lied about Joe Biden without compunction or remorse now wants you to credit everything it's going to tell us about the marvelous, unappreciated qualities of Kamala Harris. The same vice president who insisted as of roughly the day before yesterday that Joe Biden was the very picture of energy and effectiveness now wants us to believe everything else she's going to say after he's been forced from the race by his feeble state. The same people who thought Joe Biden was incapable of doing interviews and teleprompter speeches on the campaign trail will tell us he's perfectly capable of fulfilling his duties in the most trying job on the planet. Finally, the same Democrats who were threatening Joe Biden with exclusion if he stayed in the race a couple of more weeks now want us to buy that they believe that he is a person of great statesmanship. And some perpetrators of the shameful cover-up want us to move on as if nothing has happened when the stink of their rank deception should dog their candidate and their party the rest of the campaign.
Yep.
Rich Lowry.
Yeah.
It's true.
Absolutely. And I would stay on that the entire time. On any debate stage, on any campaign, in ads, at any rally. Look, your rallies are going to be filled with your friendlies, but you're going to have to also get into the media. You're going to have to talk to the Democrats' rank and file. You're going to have to address them. And again, if there's a debate between Trump and whoever the nominee is going to be, then you got to stay on that. Because it doesn't matter who they put up. They were part of it.
Well, they got to ask the question, why are you dropping out?
Yep.
Think about this. A president of the United States is dropping out, and no one knows the official reason.
Nobody knows.
We know, but we don't know the official reason.
Right. What's happening?
They haven't told us.
Nope. What is happening?
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So if you look at all the polls that have been done so far, how does Harris do against Trump? We'll get to that coming up following the top of the hour. Interesting. Just let you know, you had thehill.com look at 67 polls and look at the average of it. So we'll have that coming for you. It's pretty interesting, too.
Yeah.
Her approval ratings aren't good, 37%, I think.
Right, yeah.
From what they looked at a number of different polls out there. But
Right.
we'll get that to you. And it's really, I mean, this is fascinating because we're in totally uncharted territory. Did your phone, I couldn't get off the phone yesterday.
It was.
Everybody I know.
It was insane.
It's like everybody assumes you have the insight. Well, what happens now?
Yeah.
Well, you know, in talking with everybody I know inside the DNC, which is nobody.
Exactly. Well, no, I told my wife on Friday, I said, I get the feeling it's going to be this weekend. I think he's going to drop out. And I said, we'll know by the time, that I have to go to sleep on Sunday. And sure enough, we had gotten up early, and then we're hanging out after breakfast. And I look up at her, and she goes, what? I said, he dropped out. She's like, no. I said, yeah. And then, boom, right as I said that, my phone just went crazy. Seriously. And now's the real chaos for the Democratic Party. You got to bring everybody together and unite them behind Kamala, or it's going to be chaos. Because if it's not Kamala, then everybody's going to have their own opinion as to who it should be.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the world, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning.
Hi.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks a lot.
Just reading everything I can from really the leftist magazines, Politico and stuff like that, and it's really, it's just amazing. And you just wonder when somebody's going to ask the question to the White House, why did he pull out?
Hatch Act. We can't. It's Hatch Act. We can't. It's so Elon Musk reposted a little while ago a picture of the Biden HQ X page, and it says, all it says on there is something went wrong, and Elon Musk reposted it and said, sure did. So I don't know. Is that FEC that they have to take it down, that they can't have their, because it's no longer, if he's suspended his campaign, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works. I don't know.
Yep.
I'm just asking questions,
All right.
but yeah.
All right, here we go. Now, I'm doing this just because they exist, and it's information out there. I really won't believe. I won't fully. I'll look at a number of polls who, after, for example, if Harris gets the nomination, let's say they decide on August 7th.
Yeah.
Give me 10 days after that where there's fresh new polls, and there's a number of polls, and I'll give you an indication of where it's heading.
Yeah, right.
But as of right now, when all the polls are hypothetical, but thehill.com looked at all the polls out there, and they looked at 67 different polls, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so the polls can go back 2-3 months, which really I don't believe is fair, because you need to talk about where the country is today.
Right.
But Trump had a 2-point lead based on 67 polls if it's head-to-head. If it's all the candidates, which is reality, which is the only one you really should be paying attention to, Trump posts a 6-point lead over Harris. 43-37, Kennedy sits at 6%. So he has a 6-point lead.
Yeah.
Which I believe may be more than Biden if you take all those polls. I think it's actually closer for Biden.
Okay. Wow.
And they viewed 67 polls for that one.
Yeah.
That's how they did that. So,
well, again, you see what's going on here. The party is split. Obama, George Clooney's bestie, came out on Sunday and made a statement and didn't endorse. In fact, he went around it completely and said, the party will do the right thing and pick the best nominee. Ooh, that's not only not mentioning, because he could have walked up to it with all of the other comments about Joe, which we all know were crap. He could have just, this is, I want to thank Joe for being a great vice president and a great president and blah, 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 and then leave it at that and then not do the endorsement, not even talk about who the nominee is going to be, but no, he went around it. In fact, made a point to say, the party's going to come together and pick the best nominee. There was a reason he included that. And there's also a very good reason that it didn't include Kamala Harris. Pelosi, the same thing. Because, as the Washington Post outlines it, if it's accurate and true about how this thing went on Sunday, Biden and his chief of staff call the vice president and I'm out. And then they get together a staff meeting, which was a virtual staff meeting, I think a phone or whatever, with the closest people on his staff. And I don't know who those would be. But then, it hit right after that, right at that meeting, right? Boom, he's out. It hit the media, he's out. And the statement came out. His official statement came out. How do you not have, think about this. Think about what led up to that. Think about the last week of the negotiations between everybody in the party and Biden. He was defiant. How do you not arrange it to say, that's great, but you guys know in order to win, to beat Trump, you're going to have to get everybody, I'm going to endorse Kamala. Then we're going to need all of you guys on board with the endorsement. So Barack, Nancy, we need you there. But he couldn't get that done. Now, there's a number of reasons why, and in my head, I believe I know why, But the point is, politically, how do you not have that land the way it should have landed for party unity? Because you're not seeing party unity. Party unity in the first part, Joe shouldn't be the guy, but who should be the nominee is anything but a unified party at this point.
If you were a Democrat, you're looking at Joe Manchin now, considering rejoining the Democratic Party to challenge Harris.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
And we go, he's not, but he didn't poll well. But he's 76 years of age. If he can challenge it, he gets 4 years and maybe another 8 as that in his mind, that's what he's thinking. Remember, with Harris now as the leading contender, that's 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, that's how you have to look at it if you wish to run against her.
Right.
Manchin, this would be his last chance.
Mm-hmm.
Why not go for it now? Because if you can, because we're not talking about a campaign where you're going to need $200 million. You're talking about a campaign that could last 10 days.
Right.
Or 2 weeks. That could be decided by August 7th. And if you get in there, why not get it? What does Manchin lose by getting in there?
Nothing. He's already on his way out the door. He's not running again in the Senate. He loses nothing. He loses nothing by reaffiliating with the party.
And he can do the whole, what was the name of the party again? I forgot about him already.
The Forgetful Party.
The Forgetful Party.
Yeah.
He could say, hey, it was brought up before, me and Mitt Romney. Now, Romney said he wouldn't run with Manchin.
It's the No Libel Party.
That's right, the No Label. That was it. The little No Label Party.
I think it's libel because they're all lawyers.
But if Manchin can, I am the middle ground candidate from Harris.
Yeah.
I don't know whether he would get it because Democrats hate him and Republicans really, really do not like Joe Manchin.
But is the play, because it's such a Hail Mary, by the way.
Would the media love him?
Yeah, listen, Eric and Gary are not drunk. Just give us a minute. Just hear us out.
Yeah. We feel like being, we could use a couple of cocktails here, but
I wouldn't turn one down. And I don't even drink. But here's the thing, is that if Manchin, this contingency is so big, he might as well summit Everest 4 times before the election. If Manchin could, or believes he can, I guess that's really the only point, believes he can bring in independents, that the primary's over. Now you got to get your base. That's the problem. You can't. Who are you going to get in your base? If your base is saying no, we'd rather have Joe Biden than Joe Manchin, then obviously you're screwed. I mean, I just haven't seen the numbers. It's hard to believe that the hard left is going to be on board with anything Joe Manchin does. But if he believes he's got the best shot at bringing independents on board, again, I don't believe that. But if he believes that would be his goal.
Now, I mean, this was on yesterday. CBS News' Margaret Brennan said her sources warned it would be political suicide for another Democrat to challenge Vice President Harris for the party nomination. President Biden announced he would be withdrawing from the race on Sunday and quickly endorsed Harris to be his replacement. Brennan was responding to her colleague Robert Costa of CBS News, who said that his sources told him they do not believe that any Democrats will challenge Harris at the Democratic National Convention next month. Brennan said her reporting has suggested the same. My sources agree with yours in terms of not seeing a head-to-head challenger, but the question then becomes who is the person who stands beside her August 19th at the Democratic Convention to seek the nomination in that vice presidential role. That's where the focus is, she said on CBS. Now, the mainstream media and Democrats inside are going to want to tell you that they're all united behind her. I mean, that's the narrative. Remember,
at least for now, yes.
Remember, Biden was fine a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Everything was a deep fake.
Right.
Every Democrat and mainstream media person was lying to you about the situation with Joe Biden.
Right.
So, again, everything is going to be propaganda that you get from it. Now, it might be, you look at it and you say, okay, does Gavin Newsom want to run right now? If I was Gavin Newsom, I wouldn't want to run right now because you represent California. You might as well wait. If Trump wins, you've got 4 years. But if Harris wins, that means you don't have a shot for another 8 years.
Well, there's okay. So
in your mind, I'm not saying that Harris would hold office for 8 years or even win once. I'm talking about how you'd be thinking as a Democrat.
Well, you would have to, if you go in and then you say, I endorse her, and you stay out of it, you stay on the sidelines, and it is in your mind that you do want to run for president, then one of two things. You're either okay for waiting 8 years and you actually believe she would be a two-term president, or you believe she's not going to win, and then you wait it out after 4 years of Trump and go in at 28. Right. So, I mean, it's those are your numbers. That's your scenarios, and I don't know where anybody else comes in. I mean, who else are you going to bring in? I mean, Shapiro is being talked about. Okay.
Well, when the media was reporting yesterday, problem with Shapiro being the vice president is he's Jewish.
Yes, that's the liberal media for you,
right?
Yeah, they actually said that.
It was sort of matter of fact. Well, he's Jewish.
Hey,
and,
one of the problems is,
and we don't know if a Jewish person can win an election as a Democrat.
Can you imagine? Whoa. Yeah, can you imagine? Whoa. Can you imagine Kamala Harris? Well, one of the things is she's a woman, or two things. She's a woman and a woman of color. Their anti-Semitism they wear proudly, and you're seeing it still right now.
But when I look at, the fact that he said it, I don't know if he's going to do it, but when Manchin, when it came out yesterday that Manchin's interested in actually challenging her, well, doesn't matter. There is no political suicide for him. He already committed it.
Right. Yeah.
And so he believes he's the maverick, and he's the John McCain. And, this would be his time. Yeah. Why not take the shot? It's not going to cost him a great deal of money. That's how he's got to be looking at it. It's not going to cost me a great deal of money. Right. This is a campaign that's probably going to last 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's 2 weeks. I get as much publicity as I want going up against her, and we see what we can do with the Republican Party, or maybe, but I don't know. My gut tells me it would have no effect whatsoever that this party is way far left of Joe Manchin and wants nothing to do with him.
Could be. It absolutely could be.
That would be my gut feeling on it, that she is still the one. And I thought it was very telling, by the time I went to sleep yesterday between 4 and 5 and then woke up at 10, and there wasn't one other name in there. Right. Not one other name being suggested as running against her.
Right.
And so if it does happen this way and go this way, and again, I don't know. As I said, still, if her polling comes out, if they start doing the internal polling, the polling is what took down Biden.
Yep.
Because the Democrats finally realized they couldn't lie anymore.
Right. Yep.
Because it was obvious, and it was so obvious, his cognitive problems, and so they're gonna be blasted about they don't care about democracy. Republicans are going to do this over and over and over and over and over again. And that's in a issue where Donald Trump led Biden by 11 points.
And the polling on Kamala Harris is going to change. It's no longer in the abstract. Now she's actually, Biden is out, and she's got the Biden endorsement. So now you're going to see the polls. Now you're going to see how people really feel.
Now, here's another question. Do you want the Biden endorsement?
I wondered about that. I thought to myself, is he doing that to make sure that she's tied to him forever?
What happens is everybody in the media, they are so involved in the personalities and identity politics that they forget that Trump had the lead before all this took place on the issues.
Yeah.
And he had the lead after lawfare.
Yeah. Right.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by Hotshot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on roadside inspections. Once a roadside inspection is completed, the officer will close it out, which involves the officer writing or typing up the report. The more the officer found during the inspection, the longer this will take. If violations were discovered, most officers, as a courtesy, will explain the violations to the driver. If there were any out-of-service violations, the officer will normally explain what must be done to get the out-of-service order lifted. Drivers need to be very attentive during this part of the inspection. The driver also needs to read and understand the complete inspection report. After receiving the inspection report, the driver has 24 hours to get the roadside inspection report to the motor carrier. If the driver will not be returning to a company facility within the next 24 hours, the driver needs to know to get it on the way to you via email, mail, or fax within 24 hours. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller & Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Eric, here's Speaker Mike Johnson yesterday on CNN.
President Biden is facing rising calls to exit the race. Democrats are looking into potential legal hurdles to replacing their nominee so late in the process. Do you think that whoever emerges from the Democratic convention as that party's nominee for president and vice president, do you think those people should be on the ballot in all 50 states, or would you support efforts to sue to keep those nominees off state ballots, assuming it's not President Biden and Vice President Harris?
Look, I'm a former litigator, a constitutional law attorney. I've just made note in some comments over the last week that they have real problems. I mean, every state has their own election system. That's our constitutional system. That's the way it's done. And in some of these states, it's a real hurdle. They have a real problem of replacing the nominee at the top of the ticket. Remember, Jake, Joe Biden was chosen after a long, small d Democratic process by 14 million people emerging through that primary. It will be very interesting to see if the so-called party of democracy, the Democrats, go into a back room somewhere and switch it out and put someone else at the top of the ticket.
Well, that's what they'd be doing here.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he said this, by the way, before Biden pulled out. But he said it also afterwards. There are states that could file lawsuits.
On our website, RedEyeRadioshow.com. Show info with stations, podcasts, and more. Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. What I find fascinating about everything going on is how the liberal media is writing about that he's out because of the polling.
Yeah.
That's why he decided to do it, which, again, is great fodder for Republicans and reporters to be asking the White House and Harris and everybody else, why did he drop out?
Right. Yeah.
Because if they say, well, because of the low polling, then it's like, okay, then you're just making the case that Democrats do not care about the democratic process. They only care, it's pretty abstract, how much Trump was down. Trump was down more to Hillary at this time in the race than Biden overall is to Trump.
Yeah.
Or it's close.
Yeah, it's right. It's right in there.
Close.
Yeah.
And so you're making the case. If you just said, look, he's got cognitive problems and dementia, the voters would agree with you on it. But if you're saying that he's only out because of the polling, what you're saying is that the primaries don't count in the Democratic Party. The only thing that matters is getting a candidate to win, even if you have to eliminate the democratic process. That's going to be interesting to see how that works, because they're already pounding it already, Republicans. But this is from the Politico report. Steve Ricchetti and Mike Donilon were the political hatchet men who delivered the message. Allegedly, they pushed Biden out by telling him the polling data was bleak.
Yeah.
Joe Biden was with Jill Biden and 2 aides when he made the decision. On Capitol Hill, Democratic leadership sensed the decision was coming. He got the message, said one House Democrat. It was from Chuck, Hakeem, and Pelosi. Over 3 days last week, Biden spoke privately with all three. Pelosi and Schumer both leaked messages. They wanted Joe to step aside. Those leaks coincided with a Washington Post report that former President Barack Obama was also expressing concerns. The president's family and a number of long-tenured aides had been dead set against him dropping out. Jill Biden and son Hunter, in particular, seethed against the top Democrats. The family, including his sister, became more concerned about the toll of the race would take on the president's health. Biden's slow recovery from COVID underscored concerns he would not be up to the campaign. But that's not the reason he dropped out.
Yeah.
On Saturday night, some in Biden's inner circle insisted to one high-level Democrat that the president was determined to stay in the race. There was a lot of crying on the staff.
Mm-hmm.
And we know what happened then yesterday.
Yeah.
We're very well aware what happened then. Let me just get here. This is written about 7:30 last night by the New York Post, their editorial page.
Mm.
And you're seeing spin all over the place. I mean, the spin that nobody should dare ever challenge Kamala. We heard that. And it's like, well, isn't Obama already?
Yeah.
Isn't Pelosi already by not endorsing her? But it says the Democrats' civil war is not over. Grab the popcorn for some chaotic days ahead.
Yep.
President Biden may have anointed Kamala Harris as his successor and turned his online fundraising apparatus over to her, but the delegates will have to agree, and it's not yet clear whether party leadership, let alone the donors, are united. Before Joe dropped, ex-President Barack Obama and others were said to favor some kind of mini primary ahead of the August 19th convention. Obama pointedly failed to endorse Harris or even mention her name on Sunday. That suggests a clear lack of faith in Harris, and understandably so. Top donors had called for a truly open convention, too. Tellingly, that's because they don't want her in. They don't think she can win.
Exactly.
I guarantee the top donors in Obama could care less about a mini open primary if they thought Harris could win.
It would be everything would have been in sync on Sunday. Everything you heard, including an endorsement from Obama, and you didn't hear that.
Tellingly, not all party leaders who jumped in to thank Biden for his service on Sunday joined in the Harris coronation. The Clintons did. Obama and Chuck Schumer did not. Also, I heard Pelosi did not. Maybe there is no now she's not a congressional leader anymore, but she still has clout.
Well, yeah, she's got she carries some of the weight. It's not, but I think the big tell was Obama.
Maybe there is no consensus yet, or perhaps the leaders don't want to look like they've already plotted out the entire transition. After all, while polls show most Democratic voters wanted a younger candidate, plenty of grassroots activist Dems have furiously slammed the leaders for suddenly pushing to set aside the actual primary vote. We know there are people not happy.
Mm-hmm.
And do not discount the ambition of some top contenders, their donors, and their consultants who'll see this as their guys' or gals' big chance. No single faction can stop anyone from declaring. Sadly, we can't trust any public statements at this point. After all, virtually all these folks have been utterly two-faced for the last month at least. Well, I would say more than that.
Yeah.
Most of them, much of the media, were on the cheap fake bandwagon against the Post and others flagging Biden's drastic decline until that fateful debate. And some of them even after. As a rule, we despise conspiracy theories. We think that all the behind-the-scenes maneuvering that pushed Biden out was individuals privately conferring about what was best for their party and acting on their own concern, facing the fact that Biden would plainly lead the party to disaster in November. What choice do they have? But that doesn't mean they agree on what's best for the party or the nation moving ahead, not even on what they can pull off. Is the goal now to find a nominee who could really win, or just one who can somehow reunite the party and not lose too badly?
Or, yeah, and I'll throw in also not totally screw up the down ballot.
Are they planning another 4 years of resistance and aim to take back the White House in 2028? Something we've talked about for months upon months upon months upon months upon months.
Yep. No, I've been convinced that a number of Democrats, and I don't have anything to back it up, but it would make sense. And again, I don't know how many it would be, but some Democrats that aren't, number one, aren't on the down ballot this time around, but also if they're looking at the scenario and they're saying too little, too late, or too much, too late, or any, and she's not the one, and really there is no one, we don't believe that can beat Trump, then in the end, okay, if Trump wins, we can hold out until 28, at the very least 28, and possibly we come back and take the Senate or the House in 26 at the midterm.
And they talk about, say you think Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania and put him with another swing stater as his running mate is the best bet to beat Trump, Vance. Can you really convince the delegates to embrace a guy who's well to their right and, as CNN noted, also Jewish?
Mm-hmm.
Shapiro is open to education choice, which, of course, the teachers' union are not going to be happy about.
Yeah.
And if you can muscle the delegates onto holding their noses to nominate him, aren't you making a mockery of democracy, supposedly what Democrats are trying to preserve against a Trump threat? Just going with Harris, who was already elected VP twice and was already on the ticket, might be the most Democratic thing, or maybe it's having the convention draft Hillary Clinton, the party's last nominee before Biden. Or perhaps it's the Obama mini primary scheme. It's far too late to actually restage the real primaries. Everyone knows Harris will likely be roughly as terrible as Biden. She's stuck with his record. Her primary campaign of 2020 was a humiliation, and she's already as bad at off-the-cuff public speaking as Biden's been after his decline.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
Frankly, if the party had an alternative they had an alternative clear superior to Biden, everyone wouldn't have conspired so long to hide his true state, which is the best point.
Yeah, great point. Wow.
So there we go. Here we are.
Here we are.
And the funny thing is, everything from the last couple of weeks doesn't mean anything anymore.
No, everything is now post dropout.
Yep.
You know, I think there's still going to be some effect from the attempted assassination, but certainly any effect now from the debate implosion is moot. So now it's really, and it's also, we have to remember that in the reality that we're in right now, and we talk about the issues, they're no longer in the abstract. Inflation is at your door every day. You can't get away from it. The broken border, the anti-Semitism on the left that's being promoted as they talk about who the nominee is going to be. And one of them actually mentions that Shapiro, well, he is Jewish. That could be a problem. This is the kind of stuff that is the Democratic Party. the issues we've been talking about that really carries so much of the weight before the debate, before the Democrats started talking about, we were talking about it the entire time, but before Democrats started talking about Joe Biden's ability. These are the things every day that people have to deal with, and that doesn't go away because Joe Biden isn't there. In fact, we warned against this. We said, well, one of the problems is that the far left wants someone who's younger and more radical that can coherently put those radical ideas across. They think that's going to work.
All right, first poll out, but this is a Monday poll, Atlanta Journal-Constitution. It was done from the 9th of July to the 15th, or the 18th of July. So it was a good 9 days. 1,000 likely voters. In Georgia, Trump up 5, 51 to 46.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's head-to-head. You know, how it would be if you included everybody, which they should. We don't know, but that's 5 points. Fox 5 Atlanta Insider Advantage that was done the 15th and the 16th. Just 2 days, 800 likely voters. Trump up plus 10 in Georgia. Those numbers, you know, you take the margin of error is what is going on between Trump and Biden, too.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
So like I said, I still think the one thing, I think probably the most the odds would state that it's going to be Harris, unless the polling shows she's as weak as Biden, and that would be something they'd want to decide by the end of this week or the beginning of next week.
Yep. Yeah, you want to get you got to get this in a group and get it out there, and you got to find the person.
I think if you see other names start coming out, it's that they've seen internal polling.
Yeah. Right. And they'll start floating those names as early as today. So,
yeah, because they probably there's probably a bunch of Sunday night polling that went on, internal polling.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Great point. That we won't know about, but if you start seeing names, that's because they're doing their own internal polling.
Right.
It's like, okay, you can throw out your name now.
Mm-hmm.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. And what about the issues? When you and I talked about, when the media looks at it, they're looking at the personalities. They're looking that Biden is gone and they've got Kamala Harris in there. But does the public care about that as much, or does the public care about the actual issues? Interesting article written that we'll get to following the top of, or by a Democrat. Now, this was before, but he was basically saying, hey, whether it's Biden or whoever, this is the problem that they have. And the one thing is the demographics of destiny. Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember when Trump was running in 2016 and they were talking about the Hispanic growth.
Right.
And saying that a Republican may never be able to win the presidency again.
Right.
Remember that?
Yep.
We all do. We'll get to that coming up.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.